Have you ever heard the story about Jesus and the fig tree? No, not that one yet. Don't. Okay, let's go to Mark 11:12-14, 2021. It says, "And when Jesus was hungry, he saw a fig tree with figs, but he found no figs, for the figs were not ripe yet. So he said to the fig tree, 'May no one ever eat fruit from you again.' The next day his disciples came back, and they saw that the fig tree was withered from the roots. And they were all astonished and said to him, 'When did you wither?' So that the fig tree, when Jesus was hungry, Mark says, he saw a fig tree with figs, but he found no figs. The figs weren't ripe yet."
Ow.
It's important to note that figs were a common food source in that day and age. They were eaten by both Jews and Gentiles. Figs were considered a symbol of abundance and prosperity. In fact, in the land of Israel, there is a saying, "May your fig tree flourish." It's a way of saying, "May you be prosperous." So when Jesus saw this fig tree, he had every right to climb up into it and eat its fruit. But he didn't, because the figs weren't ripe yet. So what does this story teach us? Well, there are many lessons we can learn from this story. But I want to focus on just one today, and that is this. A life of faith must bear fruit. You see, the fig tree represented the Jewish people. They were God's chosen people. They had the law of Moses. They had the temple. They had the promises of God. But they had no fruit. They were barren. Their lives were not producing anything for God. And so Jesus cursed the fig tree, and the fig tree withered. Now, some people might read this story and say, well, that's just a bad thing to say. How could Jesus curse a fig tree? That's not very nice. But this is not a feel-good story. This is a story about judgment. God is not pleased with barren trees. He wants fruit. And if you're a Christian, you are called to be fruitful. In other words, you are called to produce fruit. John the Baptist said it this way, "He who has this hope, that is, the hope of the gospel, purifies himself even as he is pure." 1 John 3:2-3. Do you feel like you're bearing fruit for God? Do you feel like your life is a blessing to those around you? Or do you feel like you're just a barren tree that's good for nothing? Listen, if you're a Christian, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have your life together all the time. You don't have to never make mistakes. All you have to do is be a believer. Because the moment you put your faith in Jesus Christ, you are grafted into the tree of life. You are a child of God, and God expects you to bear fruit. The Holy Spirit is in you, is the gardener, and he will prune you and water you and help you to bear fruit that will last. Are you ready to bear fruit today?